Over time, our world has seen countless nations and countries rise and disappear. It's impossible to say which is the oldest country in the world with complete certainty, but based on current data and estimates, here are 10 of the longest continually surviving civilizations that are countries. Welcome back to another episode of FT Facts. My name is LEROY Kenton, and these civilizations that make up these countries, they've stood the test of time. And now to explain the ranking of this episode, I'll be listing the dates of the start of the latest civilizations of these countries. But this does not mean that they were the first civilizations in that region. There is evidence that these countries are much older than the civilization starting points that I'll be listing. So in effect, this episode could actually be titled 10 oldest surviving countries in the world. With that said, let's jump into this list, and we start with the country at number 10, Sudan, 1070 BCE. The Republic of Sudan dates back at least 3,000 years. Research seems to show that by the 8th millennium BCE, communities in the final stage of cultural evolution settled in Sudan. These people lived in mud brick communities and were skilled in advanced hunting, fishing, and gathering. Evidence does suggest that the people of Sudan had left the Sahara Desert and migrated to Sudan, and that's when they took on farming during the 5th millennium BCE. Number 9 brings us Georgia, 1300 BCE. The country of Georgia is regarded as the birthplace of winemaking, and there you'll find the oldest wine jars in the world. And as a matter of fact, some of these wine jars are said to be at least 8,000 years old. Archaeological discoveries, they also confirm the existence of early political structures in their society, and these findings date back to the 7th century BCE. So as a result, Georgia is a pretty strong contender to be the oldest country in the world, not necessarily having the longest surviving civilization. The country next up on this list is India, 2000 BCE. It's believed that communities in India have existed for at least 250,000 years. The Bronze Age saw India's earliest known civilization, and this community is the Indus Valley Civilization, also known as the Harappan Civilization. The Indus Valley Civilization really started to flourish between the periods of 3,300 BCE and 1,300 BCE. Archaeologists believe that it is also known as Meluhha, and that's the name for the Indus civilization found in Mesopotamian texts. So because of this belief, it leads researchers to conclude that the community really flourished in the country back at that time. China is up next at number 7, 2070 BCE. The earliest Chinese civilization saw the unity of north-central China during the Shang dynasty in 1700 to 1046 BCE. And this period sees the first practice of dynastic succession. Prior to that time, historians debate the existence of an earlier civilization known as the Jia dynasty. 20th century excavations, they have uncovered sites that match the descriptions of earlier historians. But based on that info, some scholars don't believe that the Jia dynasty is real, while others say that it actually does represent the first government in ancient China. As of today, there is still no 100% proof of the existence of the Jia dynasty. Korea is next at 2333 BCE. The Korean peninsula, now consisting of North Korea and South Korea, altogether have an estimated history of over 5,000 years. Originally known as Gojoseon from 2330 BCE to 108 BCE. China and Korea are said to be the first nations to invent movable metal type printing, which is a technique of imprinting multiple copies of symbols or glyphs with a master type punch made of hard metal. So that was a practice really developed, especially in Korea. And this invention has since transformed communication, and from 37 BCE to 668 BCE, the Goryeo kingdom was deemed one of the strongest Asian nations. Halfway in at number 5, we have Armenia, 2492 BCE. Armenia's history spans over 3,500 years, with the first mentions of the country in the 6th century BCE. However, Armenia was only officially established in 782 BCE. And at the height of its power, Armenia extended from the Black Sea through the Caspian and Mediterranean Sea to Lake Urmia in Iran. And it was one of the first nations to accept Christianity as a state religion, and that happened in 301 CE. Today, the country still has its own church, the Armenian Apostolic Church, which is the national church of the Armenian people. Vietnam is at number 4. 2879 BCE. Despite this date though, researchers believe that the history of Vietnam goes back 20,000 years. And findings from 1965 have revealed the remains of 2 homonyms. And these findings suggest prehistoric Vietnam existed even as far back as 500,000 years ago. The nation was home to some of the world's earliest societies, so this makes Vietnam one of the world's first communities of farmers, and it makes it a pretty strong contender to become the oldest country in the world. And this is based on if any new research does confirm what evidences are suggesting. Now, number 3 is Syria, 3000 BCE. Syria is home to remains that date as far back as an estimated 700,000 years ago. Of the many things that have been uncovered, remains include skeletons, as well as bones of archaic humans, and later archaeological findings have revealed the nation's long-lost city of Elba. The city is one of the earliest colonies to be excavated and is believed to have existed around 3000 BCE. Moving on to number 2, we have Egypt, 3150 BCE. So in recent years, excavations have discovered a lost city, and these new findings in Sohaj, Egypt, are believed to be more than 7,000 years old. So with these new findings, ancient Egypt's early dynastic periods now predate approximately 5 millennia ago. Archaeologists suspect that these living spaces and graves are part of a long-gone capital that is now just resurfacing. Now we end this episode off with Iran, 3200 BCE. Up until the mid-20th century, Iran was called Persia, and the country is one of the world's oldest continuous major civilizations. Its urban settlements date back to 7000 BCE, and it was first unified by the ancient Medes in 625 BCE. Iran was once part of the largest and first world empires of Cyrus the Great, known as the Achaemenid Empire of 550 to 330 BC. Later, in 1501, under the Safavid dynasty, the nation was named a liberated state. Iran became a Shia Muslim monarchy ruled by an emperor from 1501 until 1979. Because of everything I mentioned, Iran is most widely recognized as the oldest country in the world due to the survival of its civilization. So guys, there you go. This was a look at 10 oldest countries in the world. I definitely want to hear your thoughts and comments down below. Which country did you think was going to be on this list? And again, just to clarify, like I did at the beginning, it's pretty much impossible to tell what country is actually the oldest. So researchers can only go based off of civilizations, how long they have survived for, evidences of history. But perhaps this video might spawn a different one about the 10 countries that are believed to be the oldest based off of the first civilization, not necessarily the longest surviving civilization. Either way, guys, hope you enjoyed this one. Awesome hanging out with you as usual. Don't forget to leave a like before you head on out of here. And until next time, stay awesome, stay educated. I'll see you soon.